I've read quite a few psychedelic books in the last couple of years, and I have to say, honestly, most of them are not really good or beneficial. So this is the list of the top 5 psychedelic books that will benefit you the most on your journey of psychedelic actualization. Book number 1, The Way of the Psychonaut by Stanislav Grof, Volume 1 and Volume 2. If you're in the space of psychedelic actualization and you haven't heard of Stanislav Grof, then this is a beautiful, beautiful introduction to his work. He has written many books about the psychedelic experience and has mapped out the psychedelic experience in a very interesting way. He has introduced what he calls COEX systems, which are systems of condensed experience, and also BPMs, which are basic perinatal matrices. Basically a map to understand and have a reference point for what is happening in deep psychedelic experiences, which is very beautiful. Also, these books have a beautiful introduction into the field of psychology. And psychedelics, the word psychedelic means revealing the mind, or the psyche, or the soul. And psychology is the study of the mind. There are some pretty smart people who have thought about the definition of the word mind and the nature of mind itself. And it is for our preparation for this work and also for the integration very helpful, I think, to study the mind. Not just in experience itself, but also through reading the books, through getting into psychology. Also, there's a little bit of a history of psychedelic use in general, and also he includes his work of holotropic breathwork, which is a natural way of getting into psychedelic states of consciousness. So Stanislav Grof is something every serious psychonaut needs to read, and The Way of the Psychonaut is a beautiful way for an introduction into the world of Stanislav Grof's work. So definitely a must-read for everybody on this path of psychedelic actualization. Book number 2, Psychedelic Integration, moving from the preparation to the integration by Marc, Aixalà. This is also very heavily based in psychology. So also very much focused on psychedelic therapy, which I'm not as interested in as just like this pure psychonautic exploration for self-realization and self-actualization. Nonetheless, Psychedelic Integration is a beautiful book about the basic philosophy of integration. What does it mean to integrate? Where does the concept of integration come from? Especially in our modern Western societies. And what can we do to integrate our psychedelic experiences? What can we do if something goes wrong? And what are the dangers of psychedelic use? This is a beautiful overview. It's quite a recent new book, and it's packed with good information about how we can actually integrate our psychedelic experiences, and then also a little bit further explanations on some theories in psychology. By the way, some bonus books are my ayahuasca preparation workbook if you're interested in how to prepare for an ayahuasca experience, and my spiritual emergency workbook, a complete guide of how to navigate the dark night of the soul or a deep spiritual crisis. Both of them are completely for free. It's a gift from me to you, and you can download them with a link in the video description. Book number 3 is my favorite book of all time. Psychedelic or non-psychedelic, this book is number 1 on my favorite book list. And it is, I think, a must-read for not just every psychonaut, but for every human being that is living on this planet Earth. And it is LSD and the Mind of the Universe by Christopher Bache. This book here is a prime example of what psychedelic actualization looks like. And every time I read in this book, I've reread it a couple of times now, it brings me into perspective. It brings my journey into perspective of like, I haven't gone as far as this guy has gone. And he has tapped into very serious and very deep territory. And I'm sure many of you have tapped into very deep territory in their psychedelic journeys. Still reading his journey of like so carefully and explicitly exploring and mapping deep psychedelic states, especially with LSD, is just so beautiful to read, and also sometimes makes me shake and it quiver in like fear of what I could expect or what might be coming my way as we journey deeper into psychedelic space. Also beautiful reflections on the themes that come up in relation also to the COEX systems or the BPMs, because me and some other friends of mine, when we talk about these BPM experiences or some of the maps that Grof mapped out, we're not quite sure if we even got there or if these maps are as clear. So you always got to check back with your own experience. But he has definitely some perspective on like going even deeper to these spaces, and then also with the quest of self-realization and even going beyond enlightenment itself, and how to integrate these experiences and the impact heavy psychedelic use has on our day-to-day life, and what the implications of that might be, and the difficulties also of integrating the experience of God realization. This is the perfect book and a very unique story I think every psychonaut should read on his journey of psychedelic actualization. So must read for everybody. And now all the other psychedelic books that I've read, they are fine, but not really the juice of the juice. And some have some history, some have some theory, some have some personal stories, and some of them are great, don't get me wrong, and I enjoyed reading them. But I think the juice, the real juice of our work, comes not just from the study of the mind and psychology, but also, of course, from the study of spirituality. So the fourth category of books I would recommend to every psychonaut, that every psychonaut has to read, is to study spirituality. The Bible is a beautifully psychedelic book. Zen Buddhism is a beautifully psychedelic tool. The Bhagavad-gita is a beautiful display of the battles of the mind that we are going through in deep psychedelic space. The Tao Te Ching is a beautiful book to integrate our experiences, to flow with them in our day-to-day life. Or the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji from the Sikhs is also a beautiful book to just contemplate and go deeper into our spiritual practice. Not just doing the practices itself, but also not neglecting the study, the understanding, and developing our understanding so we increase the chances for this natural realization to occur. And this is crucial. I think this is crucial for our psychedelic actualization, to be curious about every single spiritual tradition and to try to understand the nature of the experience and broaden our worldview of what is possible in these spaces. Because those people in those traditions, and also many other spiritual texts that you can explore, they are describing psychedelic states of consciousness. This is the real experience, and we are tapping into these experiences at times in our psychedelic journeys. So it is very valuable to have reference points of certain definitions or words of what we might experience in deep psychedelic space. So studying spiritual traditions is key and crucial for everybody on this path of psychedelic actualization. And last but not least, a book nobody of you might suggest or expected here on this list of top psychedelic books is your own personal journal. This is the most important book for everybody on this journey of psychedelic actualization, because you are experiencing the experience. You are the authority of your life. You are seeking truth for yourself. You are exploring your own mechanisms of mind and your own true nature. So this is about you. This work is about you, and nobody else, neither the spiritual traditions nor the psychology practices nor any other unique journey can map out or describe the insights you gain in your psychedelic experiences as accurately and as beautifully as you yourself can. This is the most important book on everybody's psychedelic journey, because psychedelic experiences, they fade away so quickly. We are struggling to remember or hold on to certain insights and visions that we experience in psychedelic space. So writing them down and reflecting upon them over and over and over again, maybe even putting the playlist on that we use during our ceremony, and then writing and reflecting and refining the insights and connecting the dots in our own mind and formulating the insights out in our own words, not thinking about what anybody else might say, but checking in with ourselves of the truth of our experience and then reflecting upon it and see what we can take on and integrate in certain areas of our lives and what we might not understand yet. It is invaluable to write it down for yourself and kind of have your own collection of insights and theories and maps that you are developing on this path as you actualize yourself through psychedelic work, as you move closer to understand your own nature, towards your own self-realization and towards your own self-actualization. So a personal journal is definitely the last and most important book on this journey of psychedelic actualization. By the way, I forgot to say, regarding psychedelic integration, there's not just psychedelic integration therapy, which might be a great way to use an integration practice. But for those of you who don't really resonate with therapy, as myself, it might be a beautiful tool, but I, for example, resonate more with coaching. And I am getting trained as a professional coach at the moment, and I have seen how psychedelic integration can play out in psychedelic integration coaching. Because integration is basically our life. Our life is the integration. And coaching is a beautiful and I've found very powerful tool to actually go deep into this process of integration for ourselves, gaining new perspectives and seeing how we can actually use some insights we've gained in psychedelic space and transform our lives, awaken our potential through this process of coaching. So if you're curious about the nature of coaching and how it might help you on your psychedelic integration journey, then you can book a free one-on-one call with me. I'm offering a little bit of free coaching at the moment, and I'm starting to develop my practice. If you're curious, we can have a chat if it might be a fit for you. Otherwise, this is it. The Way of the Psychonaut, Psychedelic Integration, LSD and the Mind of the Universe, study of spiritual practices and traditions, and your own personal journey. These are the 5 crucial books, or kind of categories of books, if I have to say, that you need to read. Like, you have to and must read on your psychonautic journey. So beautiful. Thanks for being here. Thanks everybody. All the love to every single one of you, and have a beautiful and safe journey. Namaste. See you in the next one.